Good morning, good evening, good night. I am Bazag, and this is Star Trek Reliant, one of the first and only podcasts for actual play Star Trek adventures, where we go into Star Trek Online and with a bunch of friends and, well, just be a little bit crazy. So let's start off that crazy with Churog.
Greetings, one and all. This is Pirate Scum Game. We got Churog, the former pirate, security officer, part-time tardigrade wrangler, and recent Starfleet Academy cadet.
And we've got DB Wells.
I am here.
Here you are in this time and space, in this floating void that is reality. And now we have Goral.
I'm Arcane Flame. I play Grohl, who's a member of Cran Rue, a little true-daunted dinosaur race, and also Faberi, who's of the faunan species, which are basically like little anthropomorphic deers.
And we have Kara here today.
Yeah, this game I'll actually be playing as Jessar O'Neill. This should be funny, because they're good at exactly one thing, and if it's not that one thing, they're terrible at it.
And me. I usually play Retier, but he's actually going to be unavailable as the Reliant is under refit and he is causing the engineers of the Starfleet engineering corps some problems right now. So let's get jumping right into the session today, and let's fill in with some background with the Reliant getting its refit and with Kara on her way to the Conclave space along with others. The crew is getting a little bit thin, but the Starbase Magellan, which they're at, is starting to pick up with a lot of activity. There is rumors of the Alliance Exploration Initiative actually getting off ground, but it's not quite off ground yet, as Romulan Tellus Warbird and Klingon D7 Warbird have arrived and are sort of making their way around, getting to know the station, getting to just sort of interact and see if the Alliance Exploration Initiative is something they want to be a part of, alongside with numerous unaligned parties wanting to set up shop on the edge of known space. Who knows what the Alliance will find out here as the exploration initiative gets started, and if they're on the ground level, then perhaps they will get the most out of the situation. Whatever happens is that the Starbase is now yours to play with. If you've got anything you want to do while all this is going on, or anything, now is your chance.
Not really. Jessar O'Neill are probably down in the Riothan section, just wandering around until called for, since we're more or less on shore leave for the moment.
What are DB and Chirog doing while on shore leave?
Go ahead.
The
Hello?
silence.
Go ahead, DB.
Yeah, you go, DB.
Okay, sorry. I thought the Discord cut them off. I guess. So are there still unexplored parts of the? Are there still unexplored parts of the base?
The station is pretty full.
Station.
You've only really been here probably a couple of days. There's probably more you could probably find. If you were to spend your time fully exploring.
No, I mean, like, uh, uh, I meant like, has every part of the station been like checked out, or are there still places that haven't really been like touched so far?
I think the Ryuthayans have probably found and touched every part of the station by now. It's there's probably the station's fully mapped out. There doesn't seem to be any kind of um, damage or artifacts left or anything that would have been remained from when it was an older time in its life cycle.
Okay. Uh, I don't know. Daniel doesn't really have anything he's particularly doing. He's just he's kind of in a weird space right now. So right now he's just kind of chilling on the outside of the station,
Okay,
just kind of in
it
his suit,
is.
looking out at the stars.
Yep. So you do see like small freighters, larger ships, various. You see a couple of Ferengi, but also various unaligned ships. Do you pay any attention to the Klingon or Romulan ships?
Uh, he's just kind of ship watching.
Okay. What about you, Chog?
Charg has taken this time to begin to pack away his past life with his old pirate gear, packing it into storage. And he's also been taking some time to read up on all of the Starfleet training manuals that he's been given for homework.
All right. What about Sabari and Goral? What are they
Uh,
doing?
Grohl is still in therapy with the local therapist, and Faberry is off over having fun in the Hollow Suite in Fodder, Trevis, and the Ogre of Fire.
Okay. So you finish up that holographic program about on time, and you come out to see a Gorn and a couple of Klingons in a, let's say, a bit of a discussion. Voices are raised. Um, they are discussing pretty much what holodeck program they want to try, and each is trying to present their own idea for the group and getting it shouted down by the others.
Anything I can help with? I've a bit of a holodeck connoisseur myself.
Okay, give me a reasoned command, see if you are aware of the ones they're talking about. Okay, it is. You got one success, and that is enough. You're not really familiar, but you've definitely heard of a number of different Klingon operas, and these ones are sort of Klingon operas. The Gorn is suggesting one of the more traditional. You want to call it, like fairly basic, the one that pretty much all Klingons sort of like, is sort of like delving into Klingon culture, but the others aren't really having it because they've probably already gone through it like 10 times before and they're looking for something a bit harder. There is another one that is that's sort of a great battle of Karles standing up with his warrior wife. That is also pretty well known, but very difficult. It is sort of like you have to be sort of like careless to sort of like deal with that. And there's this Klingon that is pushing the others to try this really hard, difficult sort of like combat arena while the Klingon opera plays around, and while they play the parts of Carlos and his bride. The third option is sort of one that's in the middle. It is not as grand or glorious, but it is a sort of like a big moment of like Klingons sort of overcoming like waves of well, in this case, Feckley is like they're the sort of version of demons. As true honorable Klingons hold off the forces of, well, hell, pretty much. So those are the sort of three that they're discussing as you approach, and they sort of go, this Patak doesn't want to show his true strength.
Not really having played done the simulations. Faberi is going to side with the Gorn just because of a bit of bias, because her adoptive father Uruk was a Gorn.
All right, let's see if you can convince the Klingons to go for the more basic simulation for the Gorn. That'll be a presence command check. Difficulty 2. Okay, you've got one success and one complication there. So unfortunately, you're unable to convince the Klingons to go back. But what they do is they sort of like suggest, quote unquote, forcefully, that you should join them in the hardest version of the combat, and well, if they like the more the merrier kind of situation.
Faberi agrees and decides to load up the program for them.
Okay. Let's give Faberi daring or control and security for how how well they do in the holodeck. Faberi is not terrible. He's not great. He's able to hold his own, but the Klingons certainly definitely outshine him. Or her, sorry. She as they, they're far more comfortable with their battlers and with, just sort of dealing with waves and waves of combat, which sort of causes Faberi to get exhausted, while the Klingons have far more endurance. But eventually, they're able to succeed and maintain, they're able to hold everything together, and it was pretty enjoyable for the Klingons, and I'm not sure how it would be for the Barry, but as the program closed, the Klingons sort of chuckle, the Gorn sort of expresses exhaustion as well, but surprised that he made it through, and the doors open back to the entrance of the holodeck.
Well, that was an exciting holodeck adventure. Same time next week, chums.
We'll be gone by then, but if the Federation has people like you, then perhaps we will be assigned to this exploration initiative, and then perhaps we can talk. And with that, they sort of leave. you sort of notice that there is in among all there's a mix within this Klingon D7 vessel. Not only are they Gorn, but Klingons. But there's Orions. There's no Norskins, but there is a single Lethian that you see as is sort of looking towards you for a moment before walking away.
EB, do you know you're muted?
Oh wait, so I muted myself because I didn't. Is this my scene? I'm sorry. I thought it was still a Faberi thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I was just checking.
No, you can. Feel free to jump in. These are just sort of happening on the station, so in the public areas. So there's no reasons for anyone to be excluded from anything that's going on right now. But there is a single Lethian that's in the sort of like wandering around the station right now.
Alright. I'm just gonna say that as of the moment, Daniel's just gonna kind of be wandering the outside of the station, essentially window shopping. For lack of a better term. He's just kind of wandering between windows and ports and stuff. Just kind of swapping between stargazing and just kind of, I don't know.
So you could do some people gazing while looking in from the outside, and in amongst the Klingons, the Romulans, and all the others, these other independent traders that have come aboard. You also see this Lethian.
So just to check, Faberi, what mood is she in right now?
She is in a fairly good mood. She is a bit invigorated by the fighting, but she is still a bit out of sorts, personally, due to things going on in the background for her.
Okay, well, I don't think I'm going to get the background stuff, so just the surface thoughts. There's just kind of a small squeaky voice near Faberi's knee that just says, "You seem pretty happy. You have fun beating stuff up?"
Oh yes, I like to be. I like to. I like to. It's.
You need to sit down.
Yeah. Being around a Gorn reminded me of my foster father.
And Jess just reaches up a paw and takes Faberi's hand and just leads her over to a bench. Jess, Aro, and Neen notice the Lethian, and they just kind of stare at him for a minute, and then they let it go. He's not doing anything.
It's sort of this as a time when they sit Faberi down that Jess, Aro, and Neen realize that something is going wrong with their telepathy. I am spending a couple of threat to introduce this complication.
Okay, so I guess that'll happen on the next roll, next time they try to do something? Or did you want me to make a specific roll right now?
Well, I mean, they can, they've got this conversation going on between them, right?
Oh, yes, okay, so yeah, they would notice that.
Okay, I guess I should say... Sorry, you go.
I don't know what your complication would have been, but they rolled an 11 and an 8. Both are successes, so...
Okay, so, I mean, I'm spending threat to make this happen, but they are able to, pinpoint that, yes, there is something unnatural going on right now, that something is not only affecting them, but affecting psionic or psychic capabilities around the whole station.
Surprisingly, they know that the Lethian is psychic, so Jess is just going to wander up to him while Aro and Neen stay with Faberi and just say, excuse me.
What?
Are you feeling any weirdness?
Now that you mention it, yes. I have this
that sounds bad.
Rather splitting headache all of a sudden.
Oh, that's very bad. Just kind of taps her little comm badge and just says, damn it, and all of a sudden I forgot the name of the guy who's leading the station. I just remember he's captain. Well, she calls the captain of the station. And she just says, we might be having a problem on the station with psionic abilities.
All right. Come up to the ops and we'll see if we can figure something out. Try and pinpoint whatever this thing is.
So she finishes off, the report and just kind of pats the Lithian on the leg and just says, if feeling bad, maybe go to sick base, but we're going to go check this out. And she wanders back over to Faberi and just lets her know, we needs to go up to ops. Some weirdness is happening with psionics.
All right. Thank you. I'm just a bit out of sorts because I keep on remembering my adoptive father. He died, I think, probably a year ago today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Neen just kind of looks up at her and says, do you want me to stay here instead?
No, it sounds like you have something more important going on. I'm a big girl.
The trio nod and they kind of just scamper off to a turbo lift and press the button for ops, which requires at least one of them standing on another's shoulder. And they zip along up, probably to Captain Mercer.
Okay, can I get you head up to Captain Mercer, the commanding officer of the Magellan station, and he leads you to the sensor readings. All right, see what you can. I'll give you access to the ship's sensor. See if you can identify anything that would interfere with your psionic abilities. You would have greater knowledge of that kind of your physiology than we would.
The trio just kind of look amongst themselves, Jess scratches an ear. Eventually, Neen just kind of steps over and comes up to the console and starts trying to put his limited scientific knowledge to use.
Give me a roll.
Well, I'll be danged. 3 successes.
So you were able to it takes a little bit of time. They are, as you said, they are not used to.
They have scientific and engineering training, but they are not Starfleet's best.
Yeah. So, but you've used enough Starfleet technology, gotten used to it enough to be able to pinpoint and identify the source of whatever this thing is. And you not only are you able to pinpoint exactly where it is, it's in one of the cargo bays, but it looks rather familiar. It does seem to be the same design that Mira Retier used when he first invaded Starbase Magellan.
The trio squint over the report and just call Captain Mercer over and say, looky, something in cargo bay. I think it's Imperial technology. Mirror peoples?
Okay, and as Mercer comes to look, the sensor reading sort of fizzes out a bit. For it momently comes back and the screen is just sort of full of false positives of readings of creatures and beings where they aren't or where they shouldn't, where there's a surge of neutrinos just in airspace. The information that you're reading is just completely nonsense.
Okay, 1 success on that. The trio are not good at this sort of mental exercise, but despite the fact they weren't staring at, they kind of just look at it and just look up at it and say, was on anterior side of station lower quadrant? Is all we remembers. Now everything all strange.
Mercer just taps his badge and calls in his own engineer, who and some other of the Reathaians to try and figure out what is going on with the sensor readings that seemingly have gone haywire.
I think you need a better scientist. We're not good at sciencey things.
All right, I'll send. I'll also send a security team down there. Cargo Bay 3 interior side, you said?
The trio shrug. All they remember is a general location.
Yeah.
So they basically have pointed out a whole swath of the station, but at least it's narrowed it somewhat.
All right. So Mercer does get a security team to go and sweep that section. In the meantime, where is DB right now?
Daniel is just he's still wandering the whole of the station. He's just pondering, melancholy. I guess kind of. I guess I should ask. I know it's a psionics thing, but has he picked up on any timey-wimey shenanigans going on?
Give me an insight science check. If you've got
Okay.
timey-wimey, I'll accept that as a focus.
Well, I got space-time.
Yeah, I'll accept that as a focus.
Is that insight science?
Yes. Okay, that is one success, which I will say is good enough. You're not getting any specific, like, time funkery. It's not some sense of, like, a spatial or temporal anomaly here. But you do get a sense of something is up. That something with the station itself is not quite right.
So it's less of picking up on some on like feelings out in the ether, and more of the rumble of the station doesn't quite feel the same as it did yesterday.
Yes, that kind of thing. Yes.
Daniel is following his gut and happens to be wandering towards the cargo bay from the outside of the station.
There is a hatch there that you can enter. That's going to be not into the same cargo bay, but like maybe just down the corridor from it.
Alright. Yeah, Daniel climbs back inside. And once the airlock is airlocked, just kind of opens the visor on his helmet and starts looking around. Because something feels off and he don't know what it is yet. I have grammar.
All right, so you sort of like feel led towards this cargo bay. You can't quite explain it, but you look around and there's all this scientific equipment. Can I get you to do a reason science roll?
Absolutely, positively. Should I have any idea of what this? I guess if I roll below a 5 or lower, then I'll ask.
Okay,
all right, yeah. It mattered.
I don't think you would have had a focus, but we can look at that later. Anyway, but you get 2 successes, and you see a few things here. First, the first thing that grabs your attention is this graviton generator, some sort of like machine to control gravity and the flow of gravity and just sort of gravitons in the region. It's very very fine tuned and calibrated, and there's this like sticky note that says on it um for for a starbase for a research station that you've heard might be getting constructed in the region. Apparently, it is getting constructed, and they're doing some sort of gravity-based experiments there, but nothing that seems to be functional or connected or on right now. As you do walk around, though, you do get the sense of beeping, of something kind of functioning, and as you approach, you see this sort of crate. It is a standard civilian crate, not Starfleet, not Federation, just sort of a crate that would be used to carry all sorts of googads and widgets and cargo of all sorts. As you open it up, you do see that there is an internal power supply, and whatever this thing is functioning. As you take a closer look, you also do seem to... I don't know if you actually saw the device that Mira Rictier had before. Were you that close to it? Do you remember?
What device are you talking about? Are you talking about the one that they were just like looking at earlier in the like captain's office, or?
Yeah, so there was this initial device that in the mirror universe they were testing by deploying it and guards to... This was some time ago, aboard Magellan Station, which was how the crew first met Mira, Rick, and many of their other Mira counterparts.
I think Daniel was around for that, but Daniel didn't even like meet any of the first time he met any mirror people was that one time when he was drunk. So I don't think Daniel
Rick,
really
quite
had.
literally.
Yeah, Daniel had, honestly, he hasn't really been told much. Most of what he hasn't really been told much about the mirror universe. Most of what he really knows is just kind of offhanded things and need to know stuff. But he kind of gets the gist of, okay, it's opposite world.
Okay, so he's not familiar with this device, but it does seem, let's say, highly suspicious for a device to be operating in a cargo bay like this is. In fact, as you're sort of pondering this, you hear station security sort of organizing a sweep over the area from out of the cargo bay, sort of not running, but sort of like in that sort of rushed movement they kind of do.
I guess Daniel just kind of is trying to figure out what this thing is and what it might do. But I guess while he's analyzing this thing, he shouts out and just says, hey, "Just a heads up, so I don't want to surprise you. I'm in here. I found a beeping thing."
And as you sort of say it, the whole area just sort of, like, once again, I'm using threat for this. The whole area just sort of falls darkness. The only light is coming from the device itself. It seems that not only the lighting, but maybe the life support as well has sort of stopped functioning, at least a little bit.
Daniel lowers his visor back down just in case the oxygen fails or stuff depressurizes. And Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he made his presence known. He's trying to figure out what this thing is because it's beeping suspiciously amongst suspicious machines.
All right, let's break away from DB for a little bit. Churog, now that things have started to shake up in the station, what is Churog doing? As his room also goes dark and the hum of the life support ceases.
Grog was in the middle of packing away a couple of boxes when all of a sudden the power drops out. And the room goes dead silent. He picks up his combat. This is Chorog. Is someone messing with the power in this section?
The entire station is being affected. We're unable to figure out what sort of like the Mercer sort of responds as a flurry of activity is going on in the station itself. You could probably imagine that the engineering room itself is also a flurry of activity right now, as power and life support are pretty major things.
I'll report to the station engineering section, see if I can lend a hand.
All right. Fortunately for you, it's not that far because you chose a room down into the bowels of the station, and the engineering section is actually not that far from you at all. So you're able to enter, and just like you sort of imagine, it is a flood with sort of activity from some Starfleet personnel, but also a lot of Ryuthayans who are, sort of a little discombobulated as well from not having their mental telepathy and psionic abilities available at the moment as well. We're trying to Chorog, see if we can track down what is causing this. We're running also diagnostics, but unable to see what's happening here.
I'll start the fusion reactors and work my way up.
All right, so give me, let's say, a reason engineering roll. This will be a difficulty 2 check. All right, and with 2 successes, you make it. There isn't anything wrong with the fusion generators. You don't see anything wrong itself, but you do notice that there is traffic. I mean, like, there's a flow of commands that are going throughout the station, affecting both the lighting and the life support. It's not coming from the fusion. It's not coming from within engineering, but it's coming from console somewhere in the station. It's coming from a couple levels up from a specific console. You're able to see that there's a lot of stuff happening from this specific console that shouldn't really ever be used unless in dire emergencies.
Chorog finds this unusually heavy data packet coming in from somewhere 2 levels up on a console that should not be active. Chorog finds his way out of the fusion reactors back to main engineering, tells him, I think I may have found where the problem is. There's a massive data packet coming in from some obsolete console 2 levels up. I need a couple of volunteers to come with me to try to figure out what this is.
Alrighty then. So you and a couple of engineering volunteers, did you want some Ryuthayans or some other of the Federation engineering crew there?
I'll take the Ryuthayans. Chorog has trained them.
Okay. So you take the Ryuthayans and you start your way up. Chorog, you find the station. There is something attached to it. A device of some kind hooked directly into the console. It was sort of briefly hidden, but knowing the console and looking in, it's pretty easy to find. There's a lot of things going on by the screen. Can I get you to do insight engineering check for me?
Okay.
One is enough. With that one success, it is tying the console to some other thing. Like it's sort of like downloading some kind of schematics for something. You're not exactly getting sure what it is, but it's not the schematics for something on the station itself. It's, from what you're able to see, it's some kind of tractor beam, some kind of graviton emitter, but nothing, but as in something that would be on a tractor beam or repulsor. But you're unable to really identify what specifically is being downloaded beyond that.
Chorog and the Reathans find the device. It's unlike anything Chorog has ever seen before. And he's seen a lot of different kind of hacking equipment. I wouldn't touch that. I don't know what that is, and I can't get a scan off of it. As far as I can tell, it's some kind of graviton device.
Well, the device itself isn't graviton, but it's downloading information about it. And it is definitely something from a mix of technologies here, in terms of something that could be, like fairly common Federation, something that could be Klingon, something that could be just civilian. It's sort of like a mishmash of technologies just to sort of bypass the station's security and to access whatever this data is that it's trying to download.
We'll have Charlie try to scan it because he has information hacking, so I'm going to have him try to hack into it.
Yep. I'll give you either insight or reason, engineering or security. Either one will work. Either option will work. The focus will apply.
I would do insight security. Well, that one's south. I'm going to try to re-roll that.
Yeah, that was just a single complication and an 18 for listeners. So.
Wait, what? Oh, it's momentum. Okay, never mind.
Let's try insight engineering. That's a little better.
Okay, so you're able to sort of like see a little bit better what the information it's downloading. You're not able to sort of like ping back where it's sending the data. That's sort of a bit more obscure than you're able to determine. But it is definitely for a self-powered tractor beam satellite. Something that it would be deployed to keep asteroids or to keep debris, anything like that from approaching a specific location in space, and either sending it back on an alternate trajectory or just sort of moving it away. You're not able to see what like where or what it's used for. It's just sort of like that it's sort of like a probe placed in space to keep it free of debris.
Charg attempts to hack into this. Can't get too far. The encryption is far more advanced than anything he's ever seen before. But he does manage to pull out of it that it's aimed at some satellite somewhere that is redirecting debris away from it. But he can't quite make out all the details. This is something that is even beyond his ability to hack.
And as you're finally putting this together, the device goes silent, and then sparks. It seemingly has fused itself, destroying some of the critical parts as it reached the end of whatever its programmed life was.
Frog turns to talk to the Reathans, and the device just sparks and sizzles and is absolutely fused. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Chorog taps his compact. This is Chorog. I found the device. However, I tried to hack into it and it had some kind of self-preservation subsystem that I didn't account for, and it's fused itself to the console. I can't get this thing out. We need someone here to try to look at this thing.
So you call in additional assistance, and with your guidance, you're able to slowly but methodically remove this device from the console. I'm not going to make you roll for it. The station sort of, once this device is removed, the station lights and life support hum back into being as everything glows back. Let's jump back to Faberry for a moment. What is Faberry doing right now?
Faberry is a bit lost in her thoughts, thinking about Urk, her adoptive father, her Oftar, who she lost about 6 months to a year ago, depending on how we're doing time.
All right, so Faberry is sort of in that sort of memory pocket as she sort of relives the past a bit. I'm going to say Chorog was able to use a determination to reroll. So both of those dice were able to be done again, DB. But it is now back to DB as the security forces that you sort of gained attention sort of appear back. It is still technically dark, as for you the power hasn't come back yet. But there is this device that you and the security team sort of fills in, and they sort of fill you in. Seems to be what we are looking for. There's a device interfering with the psychic abilities of the Reathans and others who are such inclined. This device should not, according to our logs, be here, let alone activated.
So do I know what this is now? Like what it does?
Yeah, they sort of like fill you in. You're sort of like unfamiliar with psychic technology at all, so it's not really something that you've sort of delved into previously. But
Okay. In that case, Daniel says, "Well, do you want me to turn it off, or?"
I think yes. This was obviously part of the first step of evading detection. So
I heard a yes.
yes.
Oh, sorry.
So try and give me a roll. Give me inside engineering or science. I'll accept science.
Okay.
A big red button is a big red button, and you're able to see a big red button, and you hope that's the right button, and it somehow turns out to be the correct button to turn off as the lights and the beeping fade. The Reothaians and the Lethian are able now to fully engage in their telepathy. Just in time as the lights and life support come back on for the entire station.
Woo! I guess Daniel just kind of holds the device awkwardly and says, "Do you guys want this or?"
Yes, let's take it in for examination. And let's take a moment to have a quick break. If any of you need a quick drink or stretch your legs, let's do that. And we'll come back when everyone is ready. Having identified the problem that has been affecting the Starbase Magellan and a psionic inhibitor, what are the crew going to do now? They have these devices, they're both either off or disabled, but you still don't know where these came from, what was trying to be accomplished, or who was involved.
Trog is
Are we kind?
of...
Sorry, I was just going to ask: Are we kind of yada-yading that we've kind of convened and all been informed of what happened in the various places?
Yeah, I think at this point you can yada that you've all got in contact with each other and organize a meetup if that's what you want to do.
I just didn't know if we wanted it to be like, Chorog doesn't know what was up in the cargo bay, and I don't know what was up with the console, or if we want to just be like, "Hey, I did this thing. Oh, really? I did this thing."
Captain Mercer is the sort of person, he's intelligent enough to probably have called everybody together to get them all on the same page. So
yeah, let's say you're now in the conference room of Magellan. Captain Mercer is there and he's saying, well, so what have you found? What do we know about what happened? I can't have Magellan be affected by this. I've been surrounded by Romulans and various Klingon Defense Force personnel ripping my ear off metaphorically anyway.
the trio just kind of look between each other and shrug, just looking at Captain Mercer, to say, "We were with you most of the time."
Yes, the sensor glitch was rather disturbing. Trog, do you think that your device might have had an impact, or perhaps DB, maybe it was yours?
I have an idea what exactly this thing is, but I'm going to need some help to do a post-mortem on it. Try to dig further into it. I have suspicions, but I can't prove it right now.
Yes, perhaps we should take these devices apart, see if there's anything that they might have left behind. Maybe, do you reckon I should take it? There's a possibility that they have some kind of DNA on that? Maybe fingerprints or something?
At this point, Arrow just pokes the device that was found on the console and just says, "Well, this one has pretty much fused itself into a solid lump. I don't think we're going to get much from it."
Well, then that just leaves the device that DB found.
You said that the console device was trying to get information on some kind of gravitational generator doohickey majig. That is the technical term.
The best I could figure, this thing was siphoning station power and then transmitting it somewhere else. But it had some other side effects I can't quite account for yet until I can try to put this thing apart.
Well, I thought it was trying to transmit or download a schematic.
Yeah, so it was trying to download the schematic, but it was also interfering with the life support and power supply of the station. So it wasn't actually transmitting the power anywhere. It was just causing problems with the station to direct to cause problems and potentially delay from finding out what it was trying to actually download.
Well,
Sherlock
if it
sat back-
helps. Sorry.
Sherlock sat back in his chair for a moment. The wheels were starting to click, and he was starting to get kind of a clear picture of what this thing actually is. But he needs to be able to take it apart to see if his hunch is true.
The
Well, if it
Trio.
helps. Oh, sorry.
the trio just kind of look between each other and then over at Captain Mercer and say, "So someone wanted schematics for a tractor beam, but why? Aren't those pretty easy to make?"
Well, yes, there are. Pretty much everyone has tractor beam generators. I'm not sure why this one in particular is special. Said it was a satellite. Something called a satellite.
That's what has me concerned.
What would you use a satellite tractor beam for?
In my experience,
Well-
in my past, I've used something similar. Basically, ship comes by, satellite tractors them, siphons their power.
That sound bad.
It's not good, especially if an unknown party is trying to get a hold of this. I have my suspicions, but like I said, I need to take this thing apart to see if what I'm thinking is not true.
Well, if it helps, there was a odd-looking gravitational something in the same room as where I found this machine.
Mercer sort of like pulls up his own pad and does a search. If filtering out satellite-based tractor beams, and the only ones that he's able to find when he is certain, sort of presents it down to the table. These are the only satellite-based ones I can find in Federation space, and they are in the new source system as part of. If you remember, there's this asteroid shell around the inner planets, and these satellite tractor beams are there to maintain an opening for starships.
I need to get to work right away.
How common knowledge is psionics technology?
Well, I'll just say right now that the trio are not smart enough to put together the pieces on this.
Psionic technology is, it's known. I'm not sure how well, it is, how many people actually properly research into it.
Well, I guess there's a lead. That probably narrows down the potential suspects for people who could build a machine like this. And Daniel gestures to the disruptor that he found.
Right, there was a history with a device very similar to this. The last time Magellan had a incursion from the mirror universe, a device much like this was used to disrupt the psionic capabilities of the residents, including the Reatheians at the time.
So somebody knows how to disrupt stuff and... Okay, so somebody from the mirror universe, but there can't be that many of those. Unless they have a portal?
I can think of one person from the mirror universe that might be interested in you, Saw.
The trio are still clueless. Really? Who?
The mirror version of Rick Tier, who was until recently imprisoned there.
They all look between each other and just kind of back and think, okay, so asteroids around the planet, tractor beam. Using that, you could make a new hole, you could mess with the current hole, or you could just fling asteroids around. None of those sound good.
No, it doesn't. Either way, we need to confirm our theory and to see if there is anything else we can find about what plans they might have, if this is just setting up for something larger or...
Wait a minute. Chorog, did you say that that tractor beams can drain power from ships?
If you modulate the tractor beam to project an anti-proton signature, you can drain a starship's power fairly quickly with one of these. I've done it.
Yeah. We also read that the Borg do that.
All right. So this might sound like pure pulp fiction, so feel free to shoot me down. But okay, so whoever we're assuming the person who did this was trying to get a schematic for a tractor beam, and they also what if they're trying to find a way to what if they're trying to make a way to, for lack of better terms, drain psionic energy?
Okay, the trio think this over, and they look at Daniel and say, no, they're definitely different technologies. And Dean pipes up and just says, what I think it is I think that the psionic blocker is just to keep us from noticing the other one until it was too late. But that does mean that whoever placed it here had to have been organic and had to have been someone susceptible to psionic abilities. So that rules out a wide variety of races. It wouldn't have been a Ferengi. They wouldn't have worried about it.
I can
Well,
think
I
of
had
one.
to suggest the exciting option for a second at least.
I can think of a race, but if it is, we're in a lot of trouble.
Captain Mercer, where is Mir Rick Burson now?
Well, our last record was that he was in prison but had escaped. We do not know his current location.
All three Rio fans altogether just go, joy, in a sarcastic voice.
Wait a minute. And Daniel just kind of like looks up like, wait a minute, did we know this? Did anyone tell us this? Chorog, did you know this?
I did not know this.
It was mentioned at the end of an episode, like a couple of sessions back. I'm not sure. I think it was mentioned to Graves specifically.
I was saying this in character.
Yeah, so I'm saying I don't know if your characters would have known.
Okay.
As it was just as you came out of the Trident.
Okay.
Oh,
So, in other words, it happened while we were gone, and we... Okay. I'm going... Out of character, I'm just going to rule that if most people knew this, no one told Daniel.
So then it sounds like somebody should get over to the new SAR system and be careful, because it sounds like something bad might happen there with asteroids and a tractor beam.
I'll send a message to the Soul people.
The trio just kind of deflate. Too bad Reliant broke.
Yeah, well, it is in the middle of refit, so I'm sure Rick Tier is driving the Starfleet Corps of Engineers up the wall, so to speak.
Here's a new fun, out there idea that I just thought I'd run by you guys, just in case there happens to be anything to it. What if both of these were a distraction from the real objective, with the psionics blocker being the obvious distraction from the obvious threat that they want people to think would need a distraction, whereas what they're actually here for was a more subtle thing? And Daniel's just kind of... Yeah.
Actually, that is quite possible. Our power was down, sensors were scrambled, and no one could feel anything psionically. Any number of things could have happened during that blackout that we would not have known.
Well, I think that just confirms that we need to try and figure out what these devices do and tear them apart, see if there's anything more going on.
Okay, let's grab them and bring them to the engineering lab on Reliant. Maybe grab Rick Tier. They know engineering things.
I could probably get into this thing, and Daniel just kind of taps on the melted lump of the console device.
We can work together on this. I can help you get into that, and then you can help me try to pull this thing off this console and get into it. Because if it's what I think it is, and it's from who I think it is, we got a bigger problem on our hands than just a renegade mirror officer.
So can someone do a roll for me? This isn't anything, but it'll be a target of 14. 2 dice.
So just like a
15
raw
and a 1.
roll of nothing.
Okay, so as who contacts Rick here?
Probably the trio, since they'd come up with it first.
Rick here informs you that the engineering lab is currently functional.
Yay, good. We bring thing down. One of them is melted, and one of them is, well, not new.
I am still sort of going over these schematics and liaison with the Corps of Engineers and just sort of keeping an eye on what's going on up here. So unless you absolutely need me, I will be busy, but if required, I can assist.
They just kind of nod and then just look at Daniel and Chorog and just be like, you guys get first crack at it.
Thumbs up from Daniel.
And with that, the trio just hop up onto the table. They all three kind of lift up the busted, one from the console. They just start walking off toward the engineering lab with it.
Quick question. How long ago did the incident happen?
So let's say it would have been about 20 minutes since power and has been restored. The sensors are back fully operational and everything is back to normal.
Alright, in that case, Daniel will turn to Charg and say, I'll meet you guys in engineering in a bit. I just gotta check something out first. And Daniel just kind of holds up his chrono scanner.
Ah. That's an odd of character, but that is a good idea.
To meet you on Reliant, I gotta grab my tools anyway.
So Chorog and the trio are off to the engineering lab. Should I guess that, DB, I guess you're going to the console?
Yeah, because the psionics thing was happening for an indeterminate amount of time, and it was and it was probably set up before the console thing, and so yeah, I'm checking out the console.
So okay, so how far back does the chrono scanner go?
Daniel
hour.
hasn't had a chance to. Yeah, Daniel hasn't had a chance to upgrade it yet. He wanted to upgrade it on Reliant, but after didn't really have a chance since coming back from Trident, so it only goes back about an hour right now.
Alrighty, can you give me, let's go, reason or insight science?
Alright. Reason it is, because I have 7 in insight. Unless you want it to be more of a 50-50.
No, we'll go with reason. We are not a very insightful crew.
Okay.
Alright, you do get 2 successes. And you have to go back the full hour. But you just get Rick Tier person who, as he leaves, his form sort of shifts into like a holographic disguise and then vanishes down the corridor.
I'm gonna take essentially a screenshot of what that holographic disguise looked like, and I guess send that over to Chorog and the captain of the base guy.
Captain Mercer.
Just be like, hey, yeah. Captain Mercer, and it'd just be like, "Hey, you see anyone who looks like this? It very well could be Mirror Rick with a disguise."
Understood.
All right. Can I get everyone to give me insight security or insight science?
Including
One
me, or
success for the
just
trio.
people?
Everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so with Goral and Chorog and the twins, you're able to memorize the face well enough. I think you would all be able to remember if you see that holographic face again. But Rick Tier is there, and he welcomes you back to the Reliant, opens the door for you, and directs you to gives you the instructions. Currently, the computer system is down, so there's no navigation, and there's no like computer aided directions. And the turbo lifts are down, so you are going to have to go through Jeffrey's tube and manually navigate your way around the starship. But all of you generally know it well enough that isn't too much of an issue.
They do collect a couple bees going through the Jeffries tubes.
And DB is allowed into a little bit later as well, and also directed to manually go down to the engineering lab.
So the trio just kind of set the thing on a table and just look over at Chorog, and then, DB when they come in and just say, well, we can help, but we're not really good engineers.
Well, I can crack this thing open, and he kind of taps on the melted lump. But I don't really know much about psionics technology, so that's one of you guys' department, I guess.
Frankly, we can probably put that aside for now. I don't think that that's the important one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to focus on the thing that was attached to that console. I have precision tools. I can start cutting into it.
Oh.
Okay. Do you want some help from the trio?
Yeah, because they have small, nimble fingers. They can hold things.
All right. Can I get people who are taking things apart to do a control engineering check with assistance from the triplet?
I got metalworking focus.
That'll also...
The assistance roll from the trio rolled a success.
Okay, so DB rolling a single dice as well.
And I have a mechanical tinkering focus.
I'll accept that as well.
Now, DB just got us a complication.
Yeah, we're just using the first die for that, unfortunately, DB.
3 successes and a complication total.
Wait, so who was the main person working on this, or was it like one dice per person? Okay.
Chorog was the main person working on it.
I'm the one who's dissecting the device.
Okay. I was just wondering, because back when we were in the meeting room, it sounded like I don't know. Never mind.
All right, so you able. It's a bit awkward to get this thing apart. You've had to grab some disc grinders and a few other kind of those specific tools that cut and tear, and you're able to take it apart, but you have how you've done it is done some more damage. You're unable to.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you that much. I was just gonna say, yeah, the way Daniel was opening this thing was with a blowtorch, so.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely helped open it up, but it was in a way that actually wasn't provided damage and wasn't able to get any real useful information from it. The only thing you're really able to confirm is that it's a device that was designed to hook into Federation tech and search and interrupt and damage systems. You're unable to find any further details with that device.
Hey, wait. So this was only attached to station, right? So system is full of other ships, and this was transmitting. Maybe one of them knows where it went.
Well, that's what I was trying to. I was going to use my precision cutting tools to try and get into the transceiver array, but that's kind of melted now.
The trio just the trio tap their comm badge and immediately get to Captain Mercer and just ask him to check with the ships that had been in the system for the time period in which this was going on to see if they noted any outgoing transmissions from the station, and maybe they can find some data and try to triangulate this.
I will see what I can do.
Thank you.
Hey, what kind of ship would Mirror Ricktier have?
Probably nothing bigger than a shuttle if he has his own ship.
So what you do know is that he was rescued from New Saw, so it's likely that he is with others.
Collaborators.
Well, I guess Daniel tries to think back to when he was outside the station to try and recall if he saw any ships that seemed out of place. Unfortunately, he wasn't paying particular attention to them, so...
Give me an insight con check, just to see.
So that would be... a perfect coin flip. Or at least it would be if the thing would roll.
Yes, behave, please, Magellan.
There we go.
One success. You get the sense that he was in a pretty nondescript, but you're not unable to, a third-party independent trader kind of vessel, but you're unable to narrow it down to any kind of specific vessel.
I guess inconclusive then. Daniel doesn't mention any of this.
So, Mercer does come back a little bit later as you're sort of pondering and discussing this. The Romulans did pick up a signal around the time of the station went dark. There was a independent trader which they didn't really look at because they sort of assumed that it didn't get close to it. They don't have the exact details, but there was an independent ship that was receiving a signal from the station and left soon after the station revealed. They do actually have a name for it.
Even better.
They didn't do any scans on it, but they did get a name. It's a Federation standard transport. ISS. I think that's not ISS is the Imperial.
Yeah, it'd be USS probably, or UCS, I think, for civilian ships.
Yeah. The UCS
or SS or NAR.
Yeah. It was the USC Rigel.
And the trio just kind of say, well, put out a warning about that ship and to look for it. And then they look at Daniel and be like, you, come with us. And they kind of grab Daniel and they're leading him up to astrogation.
Okay. Bye, Chorog, I guess.
Yeah.
And they basically just kind of lead you up to astrogation and just kind of set you in front of a console and say, okay, you're a science man. Time to do the science. And Neen
Well-
kind of taps a couple, things on there and says, "You're a physicist, so you should be able to do this. Warp travel leaves specific trails behind. They don't last forever, but since we know the name of the ship, we can figure out roughly where it was and maybe try to track it from here and see a general direction at the very least of where it was going. Or rather," and Neen looks up at DB, "you can."
Damn it, I study antimatter, not space travel, but I'll do the best I can.
Says the man with the space-time focus.
Okay, I
Not to
I
mention the
couldn't
ships run on
think of-
antimatter.
Listen, I couldn't think of the term warp in time in the middle of my sentence. Okay, I was trying to make a damn it Jim bit.
Okay, give me a reason science roll. What are your focuses?
Well, I have space time, antimatter, robotics, metalworking, integrating. It's basically antimatter and space time are the only ones I can imagine applying.
Yeah, I will accept the antimatter on this.
Good reason science.
For Barry, you can be there too if you want to be, and or Growl, up to you.
Yeah, if Barry knows anything about science and has been hanging around the group, this is a good chance for her to help.
Fairy doesn't know that much about science, but she was a bit of a pilot in her day and kind of knows a bit about like following ships. So she can possibly point to how to possibly track a ship.
Faberry can assist with a reason con.
One
Just
second.
looking at I'm just busy looking at the fact that Daniel so far has rolled 2 successes. So despite his protesting, he's actually very good at this.
In the eyes of Star Trek Adventures, all science is all science is applicable to all other science.
Okay.
To be fair,
Go.
Go ahead. I was going to say Faberry didn't get a success on a 13.
Yeah, no, we got to use the first roll for that one.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I am kind of doing a bit. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, it's in game. It's what the character says. So with Faberry, sort of talks about, where a smaller vessel like that would go, but you're able to track it. It's not going directly towards New Saw, but it's going somewhere in that general vicinity.
Well,
from your scans, though, it looks like there is some kind of pause or disruption. You're uncertain if that means people were taken off or gone off, or a new crew was taken on, but there was a brief blip in their warp trail that you were able to detect.
The trio are busy looking at, the various possible paths outlined on the astrogation charts. And Jess taps her comm badge again and says, "Captain Mercer, we found out that the Rigel is definitely headed in the general direction of New Sar, but we can't track it specifically."
I've just received word that they are in the process of updating the security protocols for the satellite, so hopefully any attempt would be to interrupt or to hijack these devices would be interrupted.
Well, if we have a spare science ship, might not be a bad idea to send it over there to keep watch for cloaked things. But thank the Romulan Republic for us. But that was very helpful.
Yes, I've already expressed the thanks to the Federation, and the Saw people have also told me to express their thanks as well.
And at that, the trio just kind of look around at Faberry and Daniel and Churog, if he decided to follow them, and just kind of stare at them all and just go, "What do we do now?"
Faberry's looking over the charts just in case there's like any anomalies or subspace eddies where a ship could hide and mask their trail.
I mean, there are probably any there, but you're not really detecting any. You weren't able to get a good enough roll, unfortunately, to confirm the full details of where they might actually be. But let's go back to Churog in the engineering lab. While the others have gone off to see what they can find about where the Rigel has gone, what are you doing, Churog?
Churog is starting to pack away his tools they had brought with, and he keeps looking at the burned out wreckage of the console that they were working on, thinking there's got to be something else there that they're just not seeing that survived its deconstruction. So Churog is beginning to take a fine-tooth comb through the bits and parts looking for more information.
All right, can you give me an inside engineering check for me? Okay, with the natural one, you do able to... It is a bit blackened and charred, but there is a data chip that you're able to access that seems intact, at least enough to get some kind of information from it.
Right, so Churog manages to pull a data chip out of the wreckage, still intact, still readable. I wonder what's on this. I'm surprised it survived it. Churog then inserts the data chip into his tricorder and begins decoding it.
The thing is, as you start to do the process, you realize that the data chip is unencrypted. It doesn't contain much but a simple text file. It just contains the simple words, "Sorry, but the circumstances have changed." And there's like 3 letters after it, M-R-T.
Huh. Bum bum bum.
Churog
Gas.
is gassing at what he discovered and runs to where Captain Mercer is. Excuse me, sir. I've managed to decode and pull out of the wreckage a data chip. It was unencrypted, and it had 3 letters in it that are very, very concerning. MRT.
He looks over the chip and the data that you show him, and, well, unfortunately, this is not something that any of us can deal with right now. If this is indeed mere Rictier, as this might suggest, then we have done all that we can do. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait to see what happens next. And with that, unless anyone else has anything to suggest to finish up for the night, I think that's where we're going to have to leave this episode.
I was just thinking to myself, dramatic, camera pan past new soar on the asteroid field. Then to be continued.
Will the crew discover Mirror Rictier's plot? Will anyone actually tell Rictier what's going on? Find out next time on Star Trek Reliant.
And thank you for tonight. Don't forget, we have an email address, reliant@starbaseugc.com. Send us an email, send us fanfic, send us your fan art. Whatever you send, just send it.
Send us some good luck, please.
Send us a cryptic message in the form of an ancient riddle.
And I hope you all have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Toodles.